you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter from deep in the bowels of our underground layer, where we have a better cash-to-debt ratio than 95% of Minnesota cities. How you doing?
That we do.
Yes.
We got to have a better. We got to be worth more than most of them.
That's true. That is true.
That isn't saying a whole lot, but
No, I could have a nickel in my pocket and be doing better.
Yeah, but the problem is if a city has a nickel, they owe $10.
Well, that's true.
Well, Jay,
Yes.
another milestone today.
Really?
Well, don't you know? This is episode 250.
Yes, you are correct.
I mean, it's 50-50 on whether we do 251. So, I mean, we got to celebrate.
Yes, is it really that much in the balance?
Well, here's the thing. There's a good chance we'll do 251.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, the things when they make odds.
Yes.
They're not trying to predict a winner. They're trying to make it so there's equal betting on both sides.
Right.
Always remember that.
Yeah.
So if you see odds that are whacked, they'll be corrected very quickly. Yes, 250. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Never thought we'd get there.
I'd toast you with my bottle of water here, but you're way over there.
That's right. You're too far away. We're social distancing here on the...
Hardly.
Yeah.
That's about as useful as...
It's like Uncle Jesse would say, it's as good as a milk bucket under a bowl.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it is. Now, I think I know the song.
Oh.
If it's the song I'm thinking, I think I know it.
Yes.
It's that one band.
Okay.
I can see the lady in it. Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep, Fleetwood Mac.
Stevie Nicks is who I was thinking
Yes.
of. But yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, The Chain, because we're talking about today a chain of bad policies and how they get passed down from one place.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, it's kind of like, Henry Ford invented the assembly line. So there's like an assembly line from the UN or wherever else, or Washington.
Right.
And that line that gets filled, like a Great Dane comes by, takes an oink on it, and that just all goes downhill. Yes. An elephant,
Wow.
a giraffe, they all take a dookie on it, and it all comes down to right here, to our area, the local level. Now,
Yes.
Jay, you teased me off air
Yes.
saying that you had a surprise or a correct prediction or some
I
BS
did have
like
a correct
that.
prediction on this show.
Well, I never make any, so I'm kind of curious as to what yours is.
Okay. Well, as you know, I mean, unfortunately, down in CD1.
Okay, hang on.
yes.
Is this a good one or a bad one?
Oh, it's a terrible one.
Great. Okay.
I don't make good predictions. I make bad ones. No. So down in CD1, unfortunately, Representative Hagedorn passed away from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're going through the process of electing a new one this year.
Now, can I say something too?
Yes.
Do you know that election is going to take place in August, and then there's another election in November?
Which is, I understand it, but yeah, that's dumb.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't want an appointment,
Right. I
but
don't
why does
either.
it take 6 months? We're going to have 6 months to have a special election, then
Right.
3 months to have a regular election.
And I have a feeling that it'll be like whatever you get at the first one, it'll just be a rematch at the second one.
Probably.
So that's probably,
You'd have to file.
and you're not going to know, who the sitting one is. I mean, you're going to have to go against.
Well, they'll take
it's-
office immediately.
Yeah.
There's a session in August. They'll go
Right.
straight there.
Right. But I mean, you don't know which party necessarily is going to win it, and so for there to be some sort of a challenger from within your own party. And
Well, I'm going to make another prediction after you make a prediction.
Okay.
but You
Well,
go,
I-
you
well, I'm
go
not
tell me what you
making
were
one.
right on. Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm telling you what I was right on. I already made the prediction. What? I'm going to have you tell me where I was right. I mentioned at least twice on this show, maybe more, that somebody was going to step in and run if Representative Hagedorn was not able to.
You're not talking about the former chair of the Republican Party.
Oh, absolutely I am. Did I not say as soon
I think
as...
I said it too, but yeah.
As soon as she was forced out of the chairwomanship,
Well, we all knew
I said,
she had higher ambitions.
She will be running. You watch. She will be running for CD1. And you can go back and listen to the episodes of this program around the time that she got excommunicated, and you will see exactly what I stated come into fruition.
Here's a question that
Yes.
I have, though. Now, did you see that Fischbach and Stauber endorsed somebody different?
Yes, they are not very happy with
Which is
Jennifer
interesting
Carnahan.
because
Yes.
Carnahan does not waste any time taking credit for Fischbach and Stauber's wins,
right.
which is funny. I mean, if you want to take credit, then I guess you have to take blame for Paulson and Lewis's losses, I guess. But
right.
I don't really hear that, but
No.
whatever. Right. I don't know who's all running. I've been paying no attention to it.
Yeah.
I don't care who wins.
I don't know who else is in the race, but I heard she was in the race, and I thought, oh, I remember saying that.
Yeah, there's a guy on the Democratic side that used to be a head honcho at like Hormel or something that seems to be the favorite over there. It's weird. It's a red area. When Tim Walz was the rep there, he was a different guy than he is now.
Yeah.
I'd say he's the real guy he is now, and he was a phony guy then.
Probably.
But if that seat, I'm going to say this: if Carnahan is not the candidate,
Yes.
I say the Republicans hold on to that seat no matter what.
Yes.
I think if she's the candidate, I think they probably lose because I think there's just too much crap that comes with her.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
just unnecessary. If that seat went red in 18 and 20, I don't know how it goes blue in 22 unless
Yeah.
the Republicans screw it up. And to me, picking somebody like Carnahan in a year of almost sure wins in
Yeah.
red areas, it just,
Yeah.
it's something MNGOP would do.
Right.
It's just totally something they would do.
To quote, and I don't remember what movie this is from. Maybe you can refresh my memory. Talk about your all-time bonehead moves.
I don't know, but that sounds like from a lot of movies.
Yeah. So,
Well, yeah, like I said, I have no idea who's running. Don't care. The corporations will win no matter who wins, so it doesn't bother me. But I just it says something about the MNGOP if they can screw that race up.
yes. And if anybody can,
They can.
yes.
I mean, it's serious. I just can't believe we have to endure 3 more months of this. I mean,
Well,
why isn't there a special election next month? I mean, why isn't it now?
there's probably some sort of state statute saying it has to be within a certain amount of days, but I wouldn't assume that like they would put it off. Like you can't have it for 60 days and then you have a window of, I don't know. We'd have to look up the state
Yeah, it's
statute,
too much minutia. But here's the thing. I mean, Carnahan, you really have to say something about somebody who can, and then immediately turn around and run for Congress and walk around like nothing's happened. I mean, that just takes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it takes a little bit of.
How long after was Mary Bono appointed to Sonny Bono's seat, or
I don't
did
know.
she run?
She might have been appointed. I know she ran
Right after.
and won a few times. But
Yeah.
I want to say Pete Wilson was still the governor. He might have appointed her.
Yeah, because there's a few examples of this happening in the
Yeah.
past, and so I don't know, what causes that.
Funny,
to
I was
happen,
thinking
or-
of her too. I remember
Yeah.
when Sonny passed away in what was he skiing or ran into a
Yes.
tree or what happened?
Yep.
But yeah. The difference, if I can say that there's a difference, one thing is if it's an accident,
Yeah,
it's another thing when
Yeah.
Congressman Hagedorn was sick for a while. I thought he was
Right.
getting better, but maybe they kind of censored the news or
Yeah, I don't know.
He just wanted his privacy. I was very surprised when I found out he passed away.
yeah.
So, I don't know. to me, it's whole thing just looks bad, and I'm just glad I ain't CD one.
Yes.
For a whole host of reasons, but that being definitely one.
You might end up living in Rochester with that wonderful city council.
I couldn't live in that city for free. By the way, just to reminisce about episode 250 for a minute before we get on to other bad news.
Okay.
It in a way, and I know we said this on episode 100.
Yeah.
That it's hard to believe it's been that long. But doing a podcast is so ingrained in my life right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the podcast. When are we going to podcast? When are we going to? And you know, what's great. You know, I'll tell you this. I don't know that I could do a podcast with another person because I can't. The nonverbal ways you and I communicate,
right,
is sort of. It's like I can't describe chemistry, but you know it when you see it.
Yes,
and it's sort of that way. And it's one of the compliments I just get a lot of times is. Because I'm always frustrated when people don't talk about the content.
Yes.
You guys are funny. You guys are really, okay. Well, what did we talk about? I don't remember. You were just funny. It's like, well, you know, I'm not a stand-up comedian here, you know. So I always kind of, I know we've talked about that over the years. Sometimes I bristle at that, but sometimes it's kind of like, you know, a lot of shows, you know, they don't have any. How do I describe it? If you don't have a passion for something, if you don't have a knack for something, I think it shows in a show.
Yeah.
You know, I think an audience gets it when someone's doing a podcast because they have no life or they have nothing else to do or they want to hear themselves talk. What's funny, Jay, and I'm going to tell you this straight up, I don't listen to the episodes anymore.
Huh.
Which is weird.
I have to because I do the editing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of invested that way. Yeah. I have to.
It's been a while since I listened to a show. I say what I have to say, and I don't need to hear it again.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it's just, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
I mean, I don't listen to it, but I expect other people to. So I guess it's kind of bad in a way. I mean, you know, maybe I shouldn't say that on the air, but
yeah, I mean, there's, you know, I think you don't need to listen to hear what you said, but I think sometimes we can learn from ourselves in how we phrase things or, you know, how we do with just our back and forth. I think there are things that we can
don't learn anything.
Learn from that, but yeah, I mean, as far as like, I learned something from our podcast. No, because we do all the research before.
I'm going to tell you this though.
Yeah,
you learn it by doing it. This is something where you have to learn by doing. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember our first handful of podcasts during COVID because I was sitting on my ass doing nothing. I went way back and listened to some of our first shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, are we so much better now than we were? You know, and not that they were bad. I mean, if I could go back to the CTIB and the you know, episodes like episode 10.
Right.
Ring Around Rosa. If I could go back to those, I mean, they're good. They're funny episodes. I mean, the episodes where we did a half an hour. You know,
I know.
And then we started going an hour and a half, and then we'd do a 20-minute intro, and I'd take 10 minutes to guess the song. It was just, and we started the sign-off sermon, and it's just like one thing to another. That I mean, to do that amount of content and you know still keep it funny. I mean, it. You know, shows run their course. I mean, this is the thing. Any show runs its course. Yeah. The Tonight Show runs its course. You know?
I mean, it took decades, but yes.
Right, but it did eventually.
Yeah.
Just everything kind of does. You just can't keep everything fresh and new all the time. And if you do, you got to change things up a little bit. And so, you know, lucky for us, we haven't reached that point yet.
Yeah. I mean, good thing, bad thing. Cities Governments are
Right.
still creating lots of problems.
We're still not even close. They're still doing a bonding bill that we have to dissect and all that crap. We got friends running this year who'll be on the show, and
yeah.
I mean that's good things. I mean those are good things
Oh,
to
yeah.
have. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the world's problems haven't been solved, so we still have something to talk about. But I think for the most part, I marvel at how much we improved, not so much the content, but just understanding and doing a podcast. It's almost incredible the growth, of both the show and you and I's performance have kind of grown at the same pace.
It's an art in and of itself, It's
a tremendous commitment too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think another thing people would be surprised. Well, I mean, I know we've said this before, but if you're new to the show, how little we talk about what we're going to do. What do you want to talk about? Okay, what do you want to talk about? And largely, that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
We exchange some articles. We
do show prep. We
Right.
just,
we chit chat before the show. We got an opening. Yeah, just go with me on it. But that's another thing too. I mean that a great show doesn't need a script. A great show needs bullet points
Yeah.
and two people who can work around them. When it just happens. If it's right, it'll just happen.
Yep.
If it's wrong, you'll know it. You'll know it. I think you'll know it quick.
Yeah, I mean, we've maybe had some episodes that were kind of wrong. But
some are gooder than others.
yeah.
I mean that's going to happen though.
When we would start recording, at 11 at night, and we're
Yeah, those were tough. Do you remember when we were selling fireworks and we did an episode from inside a back of a
yes
trailer? We did an episode.
one of those pods.
Yes.
We were in a pod. Yeah,
We did a pod. We did an episode there.
one of those shipping container type
God,
things.
yeah,
Yes.
we were in like a garbage, and we did an episode from in there. That was incredible. That's commitment, though.
That is
Let me tell you,
commitment.
that's commitment to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
to have to watch city council meetings and school board meetings and read that boring crap that we bring to you all the time and try to make it not boring.
Right.
Like I still occasionally listen to our county's attorney episode
Oh yes.
because that's such a boring subject. It's so awful. And we made it, and for an hour and a half we talked about that, and we were not boring.
No, we did a good job with that one, I think. And people don't understand how important city attorneys are, or county attorneys are, rather.
They might be starting to get it now.
I hope so, but not to the point yet where I see one single person in Hennepin County stand up and.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
A county attorney is somebody who's supposed to do their job and not be heard.
Yes.
The best county attorney is kind of like the best umpire.
Yeah.
You go there, you do your job, and you don't become the issue.
Right.
But what's happened now, the latest trend is county attorneys who want to be activists. And one thing prosecutors can't be are activists.
No.
It's not their job. Their job's to enforce the law, regardless of who does it, and put fair justice, regardless of who is
Right.
prosecuting. And that's not what prosecutors are doing now.
Right. What we're seeing is a lot of public defenders turning around and running as prosecutors so that they can go soft on the people they represent. And it's
We're seeing a whole host of garbage.
yeah.
It's all being politicized. I mean, that's really the issue. It's being politicized. And in a way, I understand it's elected.
Yeah.
You have to sort of be political, but to me, like I said, the best person is the one who does their job and does
Yeah.
it well and lets the chips fall where they may in the justice system,
Right.
rather than be an activist and try to fix everything. That really isn't the job of a prosecutor. They don't make law.
Right.
So, yeah, it's bad. It's getting worser in some spots, but I think people are waking up.
I hope so.
You can only hope. I have no faith in Hennepin County, but I do have faith in other places that it's
Yeah.
not going to be that way. I think one of the reasons Hennepin County is the way it is is because I never thought I'd want Mike Freeman to run for another term. But quite frankly, when you look at what's running to replace him, it's far worse.
Yes.
Starting with Arthur Fonzarelli Winkler III Jr.
Yes.
Starting with him. The man may have perfect hair, but he's a knucklehead. I mean, on the one hand, it'd be nice to have him out of the legislature, but I'm sure what replaces him would be just as bad.
Yes. And, you can't help but in St. Louis Park to put somebody in that's bad. That's just kind of...
maybe it'll be Jake the Snake.
Maybe he'll run for that office.
Why not? You know he wants it.
Yeah.
He works for Steve Simon, who used to be the rep over there, too.
Yeah. He's already, invested in working in St. Paul, a little double dipping. So,
oh yeah, got to get those 2 pensions.
Yeah,
like I always say, the key to any problem is for the politicians to give the citizens what they get.
Yeah,
like I've said before, what's the solution to healthcare? You know what it is, Jay?
What?
For us to get the same. You never hear of a congressman complain about their health insurance, do you?
Nope.
So why don't? Yeah. So maybe that was what has to happen. I don't ever hear them complain about their pension.
Yeah, they don't.
So I mean, maybe
we should get that.
I'd love to be able to vote to give myself a pension and health insurance. I would love the ability to do that.
I know.
Now I'm going to vote for what I want.
Yep. And you should pay for it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure they don't pay squat.
Why not?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It is one of those deals where it's...
So am I going to get you to make another prediction? How many episodes do we end up doing?
Oh, we're 250 now.
God, if you say in the 4 digits.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe 1,200.
Oh, God.
I don't know. It depends how long we're needed,
1,200.
I don't know.
What are we, 20% of the way there? God.
I look at it like this. This is kind of... The good Lord gave this to me to do. It's needed. There's nobody else doing it. And
there you got a point there.
We're filling a void. We're filling a
Doesn't
niche.
that frustrate you, though? See, to me, I look at that as, okay, I can do this as long as I want to.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else anywhere in America doing it.
Right.
At the same time, I'm like, why isn't there anybody else? I would love it.
Yeah.
I would welcome 5 shows in every state that do what we do.
Yes.
I think that'd be terrific because the movement's more important than I am. And I would love to see that. So
yeah,
it pains me when people from other states listen to us. And, it's like, really? It's like, how many podcasts on...
I love that, but it makes me sad that there's nothing, nobody in their state is doing it.
And it doesn't make sense. I mean, when you think of all the ways to communicate with people and get people riled up for something or all that, I mean, think of a better way nowadays than a podcast.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you can write a blog, but that's very, very localized. You can obviously do YouTube, but YouTube will probably kick you off. The ultimate, you can sit here, you can talk as long as you want to. Anybody in the world can find you. You can promote very easily. It's very cheap to do. I mean, if you have the equipment, it's cheap to do.
Right.
I can't believe how many podcasts, honestly, are going to be out there on the Vikings anymore. I mean, come on. How many more can we actually have?
Right. There's a lot.
It's like there's nothing new about it. You have nothing to say that anyone cares about or that's interesting. It's just you jock sniffers just sitting around. Come on, God. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I am crazy, but
I don't know.
Okay. Well, folks, you can go to Spotify, Libsyn, YouTube, VHS, Beta, You can find all that stuff.
Yep.
250 episodes worth. And I'll tell you know what hasn't changed, though?
What? How bad government is? That has changed. It's gotten worser.
Yeah, it has gotten. It's not quite the worstest, but it's gotten worser. And I'll tell you why. You can trace everything back, Jay. Actually, you can't. Here's the thing. Local government hasn't had a new idea since Moby Dick was a minnow.
Mm-hmm.
And if local government, would just focus on what they're supposed to do, that alone would solve 90% of our problems. That goes for school districts too.
Yeah.
They just focus on teaching. They just focus on, well, there's a little more to it than that because I don't think we teach to the jobs that are out there, but that's a different story.
Right.
If counties would just focus on their duties, the assessing, the courts, roads, law enforcement, the very simple things that they are mandated to do.
Yeah.
But we've so veered off from the other way. Okay. And I think it's important. I always say this. It's important to understand what you're up against. It's sort of like if you're up against somebody, if you're running for an office and you're up against somebody who's like, part of the system, you got to think the way they think.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing to them? Money, power, all that kind of stuff.
Favors. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of people counter that with, well, I'm not about that. I'm about my faith. I'm about my family. But yeah, well, whatever. Do that on your own time. You're going to run for something. You have to equal that. I know you don't quite agree with me on that, but I am very negative in this business. That it takes an animal to dethrone. It takes a bigger animal to eat the other animal.
I agree with that. I don't think you do it by out corrupting the other guy.
Not corrupting.
I think you do it by working your tail off. You got to work harder then. You got to know your stuff. You have to be able to have the skills to
that's important,
communication skills to outdo them.
That's important, but also you got to outmaneuver them behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, there's all that kind of stuff. I mean, I agree with that. So I think we agree.
I was kind of hoping we'd fight. That's good radio. That's good radio.
Yeah, we could duke it out once. We've never had that on a podcast.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, even I quit the Republican Party. We don't have one argument about it. And here's the thing.
I did about the same time as well.
Yeah, so pretty much. I guess what I'm saying is I think people look. I think, let me say we're bad. Bad policy did not start at the UN. Okay. It did not start with Agenda 21. It didn't even really start with smart growth. Quite frankly, smart growth is older than Agenda 21 in some ways. And some people think that's conspiratorial and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're crazy. And I sit there and I say to myself, I don't want to believe this stuff. Jay, I don't want to believe what. Here's the thing about government. Whatever government says, the opposite is usually the truth.
Yeah.
I think that is as succinct as anything.
Right.
And if somebody calls you a conspiracy nut job, blah, 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 you know what? You're probably uncomfortably close to the truth.
Absolutely.
Okay, the way you get dismissed, the way you get minimized, marginalized, is to get called names like that. Even if you point out a straight line from point A to point B, it will be dismissed and all that. So you just kind of, I've always had a love-hate with kind of trying to connect the dots from the all the tentacles. But the more cynical I get, the more upset and angry I get. Okay, and I don't know why I do this because I have grown to hate politics in a lot of ways. Maybe it's the politicians I don't like, but I mean it's
that has a little to do with it.
Because I mean ultimately I do kind of believe in our system.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean There's exceptions.
The way that it's supposed to be run, I believe in that.
There you go.
I don't believe in the way that it's currently being run.
True.
Yes.
Maybe that's the better way to articulate it. But it is amazing how I can study a city in Florida, in California, in Texas, in New Hampshire, in Utah, in Denver,
in Canada,
in Timbuktu,
Yeah.
in Jerkwater, USA, and I can find. I literally, when I read them, it's like these documents are indistinguishable from themselves.
Right.
Now, Jay, how is that right there not evidence of mass conspiracy? Now, granted,
Right.
the left hand doesn't have to know what the right hand's doing. Denver doesn't have to know what's going on in Atlanta.
No,
But they can have the same damn thing. Well, some of them do.
But they do because
yeah.
they have these conferences. And a lot, I'm not saying specifically Denver and Atlanta.
Well, probably.
But you have cities that get together at these conferences and they talk about what they're doing and how one, is doing this, and then they have a workshop on it, and then
follow the money.
Yeah, all these places are all of a sudden doing it.
They follow the money.
Yeah.
That's where you do follow the money.
Yeah.
So when I sit there and I say to myself, okay, am I a conspiracy nut? Am I not seeing what I'm reading not real? I see cities in Canada
Yeah.
making walkable community. You ever been to Canada? Okay, there's probably
Whole
four
country's
times
walkable.
as many snowmobiling
Right.
months as there are walking months.
Yeah.
So when you see a city along Hudson Bay putting in walking, I'm going, what
Right.
in the Justin Trudeau is going on here? Okay, so it's obviously,
Well,
I don't want to say
they got to do something for the 6 weeks they have summer.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The weird part about it is a conspiracy is something you hide.
Yeah.
This is done so out in the open.
Yeah.
And here's how you also know it's a conspiracy. The total media blackout.
Yes.
You will see no media reporting on anything said at a mayor's conference. Just think, mayors of the entire country get together.
Yes.
And not one
U.S. Conference of Mayors, it's called. That's one of them.
Yeah, not one person from ABC, CBS, NBC, Associated Press, Reuters, New York Times, not a soul there to inform us of what's going on.
Yes.
Amazing. It's like every story about this stuff is covered like Hunter Biden. There's just no interest in it.
Well, it runs counter to their narrative. It works against what they're trying to implement. And so that's why this happens, because they're all about, the business of trying to set up a system that is taking us in a different direction. And anything that is different than that needs to be ostracized, made fun of, downplayed, or totally ignored.
Well, and I also think it goes to show how big government's become. I mean, it's so big, it's so vast, it's in every nook and cranny of our lives. You and I can't keep up with it.
Right.
I mean, I think if we did this 24/7, we couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the events happen at such a pace where plans are so far down the line.
Yes.
Change is so, it's almost like you have a victory in one place and you have 50 defeats.
Yeah.
That you never even heard about somewhere else. But I got to say, when we talk specifically about this stuff,
Yes.
okay, I always take it back to Agenda 21.
Yeah.
That is really where, and this is also where this voluntary stuff started. Oh, it's voluntary. It's not a treaty. It's voluntary.
Right.
Well, aren't all treaties voluntary?
Yeah.
Except maybe the Versailles Treaty. Vichy France. There's a handful, but don't you enter into a treaty voluntarily?
For the most part, yeah.
So we enter into an agreement, and I put the Paris Accords and all that in the same boat.
They're a treaty. It may not say treaty on it, but yeah.
We agree to do something. It's supposed to have advice and consent of the Senate, and we don't do it anymore.
Right.
When was the last time a treaty was passed by the Senate?
Oh, I don't even know.
Because remember, they tried to pass Kyoto, and that got
Right.
shot down like 97-3.
Yep.
So now they just bypass
Right.
the Senate.
It's not a treaty anymore.
Oh,
it's
we don't
an agreement.
We don't have to do anything.
Right.
But we're going to implement goals anyway. And
Right.
every department in the federal government is going to act like this is law.
Right.
And again, this is where Congress needs to start doing their job. Where is Congress been? Where are they in reining in these executive offices?
Right. Senate, the Democrats are in charge of everything. Well, that hasn't always been the case. Not so long ago, the Republicans held the Senate. Where were they then?
Well, go back to the 90s. I
Yeah.
mean, the Republicans were in charge almost that whole decade.
Yeah.
Or from 94 on till 2006.
Yeah.
I mean, Agenda 21 was implemented everywhere.
Absolutely it was.
You know, there was the transportation department, the unchecked throughout the country.
Now you can say, well, Bill Clinton was president, so he appoints all those offices. He creates, this department or that department or whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, you have a point there, but
Senate confirmation of the people running them, correct?
or funding.
Right.
Why is the Senate? Why?
We'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
Passing laws
Yeah,
that say, no, you cannot do this.
that would be a good start. But it's just like in the state. I mean, Republicans have an opportunity to stand up against an omnibus bill and break it up into parts or do whatever, but it always gets passed.
Well, what's worse is the executive branch is involved in the negotiations. They are not
Absolutely they
supposed
are.
to be.
No.
They're supposed to be separate. You're not supposed to have... Why not just make the governor a freaking legislator if you're going to do that?
Yeah,
4 years, Tim Walz has vetoed nothing.
that's
What
true.
does that tell you?
Everything he wants.
Tells you we have a dictatorship of the legislature.
Yep.
Now, okay, so I know we're digressing here, but the reason I say this stuff is I don't care what BS you hear from Republicans. This has been bipartisanly implemented.
Yes.
And Republicans have also ignored it by omission, by not running candidates for local office, by not focusing on it, by not stopping things there. They have been complicit in this.
And in the few places where Republicans actually have made progress and have people elected to local government, they either don't understand or they're willfully ignorant of the fact that these city administrators, city managers, city planners, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, they're the experts.
They're the experts, and they're making policy, and the city council then is just passing the policy that's given to them by the executive branch, which is their appointed employees.
Right. And let me just take a step back again.
Yeah.
Agenda 21, sustainable development, smart growth.
Yes.
All terms we hear,
Let's do
terms
that.
we say. I mean, and we all know what this is all about, no matter how they cloak it up, no matter what language they use.
Yeah.
Okay, these are assaults on our private property. This is an attempt to get you to stop driving, to get you out of the country, into a city, to control you.
Yes.
The ultimate goal here is to control you.
Yes.
It is the opposite of our Constitution. The very spirit of our country is to be controlled.
Yes.
So in other words, if I can get you out of your car, Jay, and I don't give you a choice on where you live, okay, you get a choice. You get this high-density housing project or that one.
Right.
And I take you out of your car so I can control where you work, I control where you shop.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is how government gets their mitts on you when they do it incrementally. They do it slowly over time. So when you get paper cut to death, by the time it's your 3,000th, you don't even feel it anymore.
Right.
So when we talk about this, we go back to, I mean, I'll throw out a policy.
Okay.
Complete streets.
Oh, what a lovely policy that is.
You've got a national group.
Yeah.
National group breaks it down to state groups. You go to their websites. They have a toolkit.
Yep.
how to implement this in your city, how to get grant funding, again, follow the money,
Yeah.
Why this is important. And they have a picture of a guy in a wheelchair. And it's funny, the guy in the wheelchair has worn out tennis shoes.
Yes.
Which is always funny how they have worn out tennis shoes. Pay attention to that.
Yes.
That it's somebody with worn out tennis shoes sitting in a wheelchair.
That just means he's tired.
Yeah, right. He's just sitting down. He's a handicapped child.
Yeah.
And we've got to make things safe for all users.
Yeah.
And Complete Street is basically everything except the street.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we'll just quickly explain it. Complete Streets is making sure that your streets are designed and implemented in such a way that people of all ages and abilities are able to use them. So what that means?
I have no idea what that means. That's a statement. That's a statement some hired policymaker wrote.
Yeah.
Who could be against that, right?
Right. Well, think of it this way. How many times have you gone bowling?
Many.
Yeah. And
a Richter hook. I got the Richter hook.
And when you go, you always have them put the bumpers up, right? And so you can't get any gutter balls.
I play off the bumper, actually.
Right.
kind of like a bad field goal.
And that's really what they're doing is they're trying to create a game of bumper bowling we are going to slow everybody down. We're going to have protected bike lanes. So we're going to put in bike lanes so bicyclists can use it. And then we're going to make those protected bike lanes so that you can't go off to the side of the road, which means we take away your turn lane, which means, you got the things
no parking there.
Protected intersections where you have those pylons that come out into the street to make a wider I guess place for the pedestrians that aren't watching where they're standing on a curb. I don't know. And then, so pedestrians with wider sidewalks and so they're able to use it. You got to make sure that you have room for wheelchairs and scooters and
hover
rounds, and you got the you take usually a 4-lane road and you make it 2 lanes with a center turn lane, and you got to put in your roundabouts, and you got to put in your speed bumps and
name any other bad thing and it's in there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But again, you sit there and you say, well, when you point out to somebody, look, cities, like I say, they have no original ideas.
Right.
Okay.
This didn't come from your city planner.
If your city has a complete streets policy, they did not come up with it.
No.
Okay. They got it from grant money or from somebody on the
county
staff.
County could be pushing it.
Yep. On their staff, they can be dangling money. They send you the nice little 5-page brochure, like I said, with the person in their hover round with their worn out tennis shoes. And then, it gets sold to the council, who in turn sell it to the residents.
Right.
Residents aren't coming there demanding it. This is what I mean when I say everything starts somewhere else. So national complete streets, wherever the hell they are, and then Minnesota has their own, and then cities make their own. And like I said, it all goes downhill.
Right.
So there's not an original idea in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and this of course is part of smart growth. Anything else is dumb growth.
Right.
If you don't have a complete street, you have dumb growth. You know what smart growth ought to be? We ought to have a picture of like somebody with like cancer, and then it's growing.
Yeah.
That's smart growth. That's what real smart growth is. It's cancer on.
And for those of you who think, well, you guys are talking about how they go to all these different places to get this and these far away things. And I don't believe that, listen, these things do not generate at the city. We could not be more clear about that. They, like I say, counties often push them, but they also, you have places like League of Minnesota Cities that talks about complete streets, and then they get their ideas from the National League of Cities. Looking at an article right now on the National League of Cities website, designing transit safety for Americans with disabilities. And the first city that they choose to present a case study of, Burnsville, Minnesota.
Huh.
Sound familiar? So to say it is not having an effect here, you're just not looking. It sounds great coming out of your mouth, but it's not true.
So what's the study say?
Well, glad you asked.
Do we want to know?
I don't know. The city of Burnsville adopted its first ADA, that is Americans with Disability Act, transition plan in 2016 to 2017 and updated it in 2020. The plan requires the city to conduct an inventory of infrastructure to ensure it supports pedestrian movement, including pedestrian ramps, traffic control signals at intersections, and sidewalk and trails adjacent to roadways. When its first plan was adopted, the city of Burnsville passed ordinances setting compliance to ADA standards by design procedures. By conducting and implementing these standards, Burnsville has been able to upgrade 2 crosswalks, a whole 2 in the city of Burnsville, with assistance systems that include audio and properly aligned truncated domes, which are bumps in the concrete to mark the edge between sidewalk and road, which again, bumper bowling, and ensure that all 6 of the city's rapid rectangular flashing beacons are in compliance with the ADA. All 6 of them in the city of Burnsville, which has at least 23,000 people, if not more than that. It's kind of a bigger city in the metro area. Along with releasing a document tracking ADA compliance every few years, the city has taken its inventory of its infrastructure a step further, creating a GIS, which is a satellite map, where residents can view which signals and pedestrians ramps are in compliance with the ADA or are in good condition for mobility. Having a system like this can help residents with disabilities plan their mobility routes ahead of time.
Well, what did they do before this? I mean,
I don't know.
You better see if Crystal is ADA compliant.
Well, they're sure not listed on this website. But yeah, so all 2 of their stoplights and 6 of their whatevers, rapid rectangular flashing beacons, in a pretty big city. Doesn't seem like that's doing a whole lot, but whatever. I'm not saying that cities shouldn't be navigable by people with disabilities. That's not what I'm getting at here. But what I am getting at is that we have a national organization which filters this stuff down to the state organizations, which filters this stuff down to the cities, and that it happens locally. And it says right here in this article that their policies are being implemented at the local level here in Minnesota. And they're not the only one. There's no way that Burnsville, Minnesota is the only state in Minnesota that's doing this.
The only city.
Of course
they're not.
Only city in Minnesota. Of course not.
They're just leading the pack. It's kind of like St. Louis Park is finally not leading the pack and doing dumb stuff. It's a rarity.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, that's one example.
Yes.
Okay. I want to get to this racial equity coordinator stuff. Because this is this is of somebody leading the touchy-feely kind of thing. Somebody had to be there to sort of bridge the pretend divide that's out there. Because I don't know of any city that is for whites only or school district. I've never heard of that.
No.
Since the 1950s and 60s, I'm unaware of anything like that. Are you aware of anything like that?
No. Funny, there's some universities that are black only.
Yeah, you probably needed an integration coordinator 60 years ago.
Yeah.
You might have needed it then.
Right.
But now it's become more of this equity term. Mm-hmm. Not equality, but equity. this idea that everyone should be the same and have an equal outcome has been accepted, I would say, by everybody. I don't see anybody on the right fighting it.
Right.
I think certain activists are, but the politicians are not.
No.
Has crept its way in everywhere. Counties, cities, school districts, states have equity everywhere. That term. And it's so much about whitewashing our history. That is the one part where I think people aren't focusing. I want to bring something to everybody's attention. League of Minnesota Cities has this whole thingamabobber on equity. And if I go back to May of 2021, understanding your city's a more complete story, the city of Monticello. The staff works on redesigning the city's website. They are re-examining how the city's history has been told. Well, the city only has one history.
Yes.
You know, I mean, his city's history is what it is.
Well, I mean, you have the real history and then you have revisionist history.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But one of them's right and one of them's not. The person in charge of this, somebody named Leonard.
Rachel Leonard.
Yes. Realized it was dominated by stories of white settlers. Well, if only white settlers were there,
that's all you have.
That be an issue?
You know, it's you could only
listen to what she says. It was a history that was passed down by narrative, and that was wonderful, but isn't necessarily inclusive about what happened over time.
But is it true? That's what you have to ask. Is it true?
This type of racialized history, who's making it racial?
Well, she is.
Where the story is, website will make a stronger effort to acknowledge Monticello's Native American history.
I see where they're going with this. Okay.
The city is located on a shallow stretch of the Mississippi River because it could be easily crossed. An important meeting place for Native Americans. The area is also affected by the Dakota War of 1862. I'm sorry, was Monticello a city then?
I don't know.
Minnesota was a state in 1858.
Right.
So again, the history of Monticello.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd have to look that up. I can look that up.
Listen to this.
Yes.
As Monticello considers replacing and adding historical signs in parks, city staff plans to note that Native Americans lived in the area a long time before settlers and loggers arrived. Well, damn. It was somebody who lived in my house before me.
Yeah, same here. The guy that lived here at my house before me built it. So yeah, I'm not the first occupant. Monticello was founded in 1856.
Was it a city or was it a village or?
Let's see if it says. Monticello is a growing and progressive community. I think it's pretty conservative, don't you? I mean, other than the government there, the government's progressive. The name Monticello was derived from the Italian word for little mountain. So
okay, listen to this next sentence here.
Yes.
About 85% of Monticello's approximately 14,000 residents are white. Damn honkies. With a growing Spanish-speaking population. Now stop and think about that. Okay. 85% are 14,000 are white. That's about what, Jay? 12,000 plus?
What? You said 14,000? 85% of 14,000 is 16,470.
Oh, you're going the wrong way.
Or that would be the white population.
Right, but it can't be 16,000 out of 14,000.
Wait. Oh, I probably did it backwards.
About
No, I
11,900.
multiplied, didn't I? Maybe I divided.
About 11,900.
11,900. I'll take that.
So that means 2,100 minorities. I take it they're not all Spanish.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if I believe that that's right either. I don't know if I believe 15% of Monticello's minority. I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah,
but
I don't
let's just say it is.
know if I do either. Yes.
With a growing Spanish-speaking population, the city has begun using translators and bilingual materials at events. Let me tell you something. That is the exact wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
The way is to assimilate them into America.
Yes.
If you do that, you are continuing to encourage them to be separate.
Yes.
You want them to be, and I want them too. I want them to think Monticello is their home. I want them to become Americans, not stay separate.
Yes.
And again, this is one example. I mean, you can go on and on and on about anything that you could find stories like this everywhere. Well, we got to look back, and this highway that was this road that was created separated these two neighborhoods. That was racist.
Yes.
So now we have to go back and slap ourselves on the wrist.
Yes.
And we have to use certain language. Can't say certain things anymore.
Yeah.
And the demands are never satisfied. It's never good enough. It's never met. It's never equal. And they have an equity plan. You name the school district, go to any school district, they will have a section on equity.
Yes. And again, they didn't come up with it.
Of course they
Of course
did.
not. Later
them
down
too
in this
much
article
credit.
that you were talking about, it says these changes make it even more important for cities to take a good look at their policies and practices. Monticello and Wilmer were among a small group of smaller Greater Minnesota cities race equity cohort. They received
Cohort.
Yes.
Cohort.
I know. Who uses that
What
word?
a word.
They received training on race and equity issues by who?
The National League of Cities, I would guess.
No, the Government Alliance on Race and Equity.
Oh.
GARE.
Of course.
Who we have also
Yes.
podcasted about.
Care to be different.
Or like Weird Al would say, GARE to be stupid.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, this is being pushed by a national group down to a state group down to cities again.
Well, let me ask you something. Where does GARE get off doing all this? I mean, who the hell are they? Again, follow the money.
Right.
Follow who's financing them. Understand where their money's coming from. Foundations, special interest groups.
Right.
And you'll see the answer there. It's always follow the money.
Yep.
Ross Perot would say follow the money. And I'll tell you where else it's being pushed very hard is in schools.
Yes.
From the national school boards on down.
Yeah.
The what do you pages of materials. They have videos on equity. Anything on our human rights commissions here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's not fair to suspend minority kids.
Right.
White kids can get suspended for being tardy. Like, well, we got to try alternatives. We got to do something different.
Yeah.
Because it's disproportionately minority kids are being suspended. Well, so what? Making suspending whites more and making it equal, that advances anything?
How about we just have stricter discipline in the schools? Hold people accountable. How about that?
But it's part of the chaos that's making everything chaos everywhere.
Oh, it's chaos everywhere. It's absolute bedlam in these schools, especially the high schools. The things that I have heard about that are happening in a lot of the area schools here.
I almost don't believe them. I mean, seriously, I almost don't believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it, but I don't.
Right.
Because I went to school in this area and I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah. Well, think of yourself as a teenager, though, and the people that you knew that were teenagers and what they would try to get away with if they had the opportunity. And if they're creating the opportunity for people to screw off, then that's exactly what they're going to get. I mean, if you are dumb enough to create bathrooms that either gender can use, all they have to do is identify that day, you're going to have both genders going in together and doing whatever it is they do. Because, I feel like a girl today. To that opportunity.
The girl's going to identify as a guy and pee standing up.
Okay.
I don't know. It's almost, like I said, you almost can't believe it.
Right.
But I mean, like with equity, I mean, it starts and ends way at the top. Go to the Minnesota Department of Education. They probably mention the word equity more times than they mention education or teaching.
Well, it is really more about that. It is more about equity with racial equity. It is more about like trans and LGBTQ IA ++ 642.
Whatever that means.
Equity. It is more about anything other than education.
But it's also become this thing about trying to everybody. Now, how dumb? Tell me what anything. Name anything you can think of where you have the same outcomes for everybody. Name any job, any sport, name anything that has equal outcome.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, if you go to your workplace, is everybody the same at everything?
No.
So how can we expect kids to be the same at everything?
Well,
you know what it is? We have problems in certain minority communities these politicians don't want to talk about or address.
Yeah.
They don't want to address absent fathers. They don't want to address immigration poverty when they let those people come in to begin with.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about lack of faith and people not having that as a background. How many people go to jail for killing people and they're sent away for life? Then they find God. Hey, how much have you found God first? Maybe that would be a solution. But of course, that's creating religion, which allegedly we can't do, even though the Constitution says nothing of the sort.
Right.
So the fact is they are covering for things that they have ignored and in some case created.
Oh, absolutely. I thought of a place where you have equal outcomes. This is the only place where I know of that it happens. And that's in Marxism, because they take anyone that is an aberration and they get rid of them.
That's right. Anybody who's of excellence is taken down to everybody else or eliminated. They disappear.
Yep. They end up in Siberia
Gulag
or something. Yes. Yes.
You may be right about that.
Yeah, I think I am.
Damn. Well, you got to be right. I hate that. Okay, so, but again, I think people hear the term equity and they think, well, you can't be opposed to that. They understand what the word means.
Right.
They get what equity symbolizes.
Yeah. They throw around the word anti-racism, which it sounds good. I'm against racism. I'm not for racism, but anti-racism is different than being against racism. Anti-racism is elevating the minorities and discriminating against the majority to do so.
It's an arm of social justice.
Yes.
It's
leveling the playing field by taking the majority down a couple of notches.
But you know what? That's been going on in education for 100 years.
Yeah.
Dumbing things down to the lowest common denominator.
All right.
That's nothing new.
And I don't remember. Did we mention this on a previous podcast where which school district was it that is changing their graduation standards? They're lowering them in order to...
I'm sure we mentioned it, but yeah.
It was like Seattle or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think in Minnesota they can't do that. I think the Department of Education sets the graduate, and they've dumbed that down over the years.
Right.
But I don't think a school district can do that in a year.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen school districts get rid of valedictorians, get rid of these people who have achieved,
Right.
worked so hard to, it's how hard it is to get straight A's.
It's hard. Well, I mean, it can be. It depends.
But I mean,
Yeah.
those people aren't hoofing it. Usually the valedictorians aren't the ones taking basket weaving. They're the ones,
Right.
taking
AP world history.
right.
Yeah.
I'm the one who slid by with a C+ in that, because I didn't want to bring any books home. Could have
Right.
gotten an A. The other people did their work. They earned it.
Right.
And you take down the achievers because it's too many white people.
Right. Well,
Can't
they got
give
rid
up
of
grades.
APs as well, didn't they? A lot of places. You don't have advanced placement anymore.
You don't have anything. You don't have the old bonehead class either.
No, you
I remember
don't.
that teachers would call it the bonehead class. Hey, Richter, you got to pass this test or go down to the bonehead class. I can remember that. We didn't think anything of it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it just the whole thing, it's a monster in and of itself. And, part of me doesn't even know the first place to fight this. I mean, I know where it is, but I don't know if it's going to happen in time.
People that are elected to local office need to realize you are the legislative branch. You make the laws. You do not go to your staff and ask them what they want to pass. You do not allow your staff to come to you and say, these are the trends, these are the great ideas. No, you were elected to be the legislative branch. You create the legislation. And once you take control of your city back, then you have something to talk about. Now, we also, this is a larger discussion. We talk about, a weak mayor administrator system or a weak mayor council system versus your strong mayor system, where the mayor is actually separate from the council in a strong mayor system. And a weak mayor system, mayor gets one vote, part of the council, no, et cetera, et cetera. In a strong mayor system, that mayor gets to have a veto. That mayor has greater control over what goes on with city staff and administration. And that is exactly the way it needs to happen again, because this weak mayor system is a progressive ploy to be able to put administration in charge of a city. And that is why this happens. It happens at the county level, it happens at the school district level. No, we need to make sure that there is a clear separation of powers and that at least one elected official is in charge of what goes on in the executive branch of local government.
Right. I mean, it is sort of amazing the fact that I think, again, like when I first started looking at city councils, Jay, I didn't know what you were telling me. Well, you said right there I had to learn.
Yeah.
I didn't know how a city council worked. I didn't know what a work session was. I didn't know the mayor wasn't like a governor. Mm-hmm. And I think educating people on that is almost the first hurdle. It's like, no, you are the ones who are supposed to do this. It's not a part-time job, okay? And maybe that's another part of the problem.
Yeah.
That, you got somebody who makes a career out of planning. They're going to run over your average city council person.
Absolutely.
I want to get to something else, one of your favorite things, roundabouts.
Oh, I love
Do you know where the first roundabout was created?
France.
England. Close,
England,
but
okay.
yeah. But I mean, and of course it made its way here.
Of course, like all good things. The roundabouts came over on the Mayflower.
Yeah, that's right, with my great-great-grandfather as the captain, Adolphus Richter III.
That's exactly how it works.
It took a long time for them to arrive in the United States in the 1990s, where it was initially met with resistance. But supposedly we all gave in to the ideas. This is a roundabout. Alaska has roundabouts.
Yeah.
the least populated state in the country
Right.
has roundabouts.
Right.
The benefits, all the benefits of roundabouts.
They used to drive round about the mountain. Now I don't know what they do. So it's
Pretty much,
know.
but that's another place. I mean, roundabouts didn't begin in your city.
No, they did not. They were imported over here, and they began to be implemented, and it
From
became
some idiot.
started to become part of a national strategy on what to do to lower speeds, have less traffic. They say it makes intersections safer. I don't find the data supports that.
When I take them, I don't feel that they're safer.
No.
How can a four-way stop be less? That's always I've always scratched my head at that.
Right.
You know, if you come to a stop and then go versus whipping around, you know, I don't know. There's a couple roundabouts in St. Francis. I'm going to pick on them for a minute.
Okay.
And one is right by St. Francis High School.
Yeah.
And when you see the buses leave that school and whip around that roundabout, you tell me
Yeah.
that that's safer than a stoplight.
Yeah.
I witnessed that. Mm-hmm. You know, 30 buses whipping around that, going one way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's, at most, it's questionable.
Right. Well, remember when we went down to Wayzata and we were making
Right.
that short video on downtown Wayzata? That's something maybe we should get back to at some point. But yes, it was nuts. I mean, for you to be able to find the right place to enter it, they kind of detoured you around. There was really like one way into it, but you could get off on different places, and it was crazy. And then you had was it Mankato where you had a near death experience?
Yeah, with the
in a roundabout?
semi-truck.
Yeah.
Because they were growing sunflowers or something in the middle of it, and it was at night. Could barely see a semi-truck flying around the roundabout. And I'm sorry, you get in a collision with a semi-truck, it's going to be like a fly bite to them, and you're going to be the one. But, I mean, yes, I had a near-death experience with a semi-truck whipping around a roundabout.
Yeah.
You know, because and it's like two lanes. It was they're just dumb. Can I just say
Right.
that? By the way, Letchworth Garden City, England.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to parachute in there with a machine gun and show you what I think about roundabouts. You're the first city that gave us this BS, this Barbara Streisand.
word.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Bologna
parachute
sandwich.
in.
Yes. Oh my word. Okay. But yeah, I mean, but again, it's another fad, and how long will it last? Hard to say, you know, but they'll move on to something else at some point.
Well, again, they've learned how to sell it, though, Jay. They've learned how to sell it as safer and gooder for your community and blah blah blah. They've learned all the talking points, all the things to say to the soccer moms.
Exactly.
They've figured out how to market.
Right. But it happens everywhere. I just brought up a random city, Carmel, Indiana, a city to experience.
Does that smell like Gary?
Might. A city to experience. Does this sound like something you would want to experience?
No, it sounds like something I'd want.
Mayor Jim Brainard is Carmel's first 7-term mayor. That already tells you more than enough at that point. This guy's been there too long. Parkland, green space, trails have increased from 40 acres to more than 800.
Huh.
Yeah, listen to that. There is a new Midtown project joining the two together that has helped in the creation of a vibrant, thriving, walkable city where companies want to locate, where employees want to live, and where families want to raise their children. Mayor Brainard is frequently asked to speak around the world about city planning, climate change redevelopment, and roadway networks. Now, what I wanted to get to here, scanning down, was the number of roundabouts that happen to be in this city. Because he has put in a number of roundabouts. And it sounds like a mess. I don't know where Carmel is. That's
Carmel.
Yeah.
Right next to chocolate.
Right. Mayor Brainard has signed executive orders mandating the use of hybrid or flex fuel vehicles for city operations, and when available, and recently enacted a no idling policy. Wow. So that would be like Blaine here.
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
Wow. That is, you get into that area, and here that tends to get a lot more conservative. That really surprises me.
Well, you go into Blaine, you'll find a lot of this crap too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's there. Now, I don't know with the current mayor there.
I have no idea.
I understand that he's pretty conservative.
Maybe.
But I'm looking for the number, and I'm just not finding it. But it was an amazing amount. And, the city now has more than 130 roundabout intersections, more than any other.
130.
Yes. Sounds like a place you want to live. Sounds like a place I would want to beg for somebody to shoot me.
My God.
Yes.
Okay, I got to see something here.
Yes.
How many people are in this city? 100,000.
Yeah.
There's 100,000 cities, and they got 130 roundabouts.
Right.
Holy cow.
Now, again, there is a correlation.
By the way, Mayor Brainard classifies himself as a Republican. If you want to see.
But yet, look at all that stuff that I read to you. How much of that is conservative? These Republicans that get elected to local office take the advice of their administration, and they don't do anything conservative. They lose their mind. You cannot listen to your liberally educated administration. They will not come to you with conservative solutions. They are going to bring their liberal bent to their job and try to pass policies that come to them from their liberal education, the League of Cities from whatever state it is you're in, and which come from the National League of Cities. And here's something to prove that. This lady had died, Seattle's Phyllis Lamphere, who was the roundabout queen, and she was also a former president of the National League of Cities. So,
well, and there's now 142 roundabouts there.
oh, they've increased another 12.
It is, yep.
The only roundabout I want here is the one that starts where 694 and 494 meet and then ends at that same point. The one that goes all the way around the metro. That's the only roundabout I'm interested in here.
Huh.
I mean, that's just crazy. But yet you'll find it all over the country.
Well, and I'll tell you the other thing you'll find out about if we just throw one more thing out there.
Yeah.
Is the whole idea to try to get you to take transit. That may be the most coordinated of anything. I have never found a comprehensive plan that did not encourage more walking, more biking, more transit, more busing, more light rail, more, anything but driving.
Yes.
I mean, just anything to get you out of your car. And I mean, the car is very ingrained in America.
Yeah.
I think that some elements of this have shifted towards making different types of cars rather than attacking the car itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious Americans aren't giving them up.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, like I've always said, the unhappiest place in the world is on a bus. There's no one on there who wants to be there.
Right.
If they had it their way, they'd be driving.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some people who maybe have a handicap.
There's maybe
some people who have a handicap who can't drive.
Yeah.
But they were driving before.
I love the people who take the bus and they take their bike and they put it on the front of the bus and get on the bus and then ride it downtown and then pick up their bike and ride their bike. It's like, why? I don't know. Why?
Maybe they can't bike that far.
But they want to look good, so
just if you're going to wear spandex, just do I need to see the sweat from behind? Do I need to see that? Seriously? Put on an extra pair of shorts so I don't have to see that. But I mean, the coordinated effort, Jay, the transit-oriented development, the grants out there for that, the free money, the constant pushing of that, the constant pushing of light rail, regardless of cost, regardless of whether people use what we have. It's like it keeps going forward no matter what.
right.
I mean, Amtrak, that's lost money for how long now?
Yeah.
And there's no rethinking of it. There's no changes to it. There's no effort to make it a better deal for taxpayers. Zero.
Right.
They just keep subsidizing it, throwing money at it. I mean, where's the end game here? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, like I said, that Americans are not giving their cars up.
Yeah.
People are driving more than ever, even with gas prices.
Yeah.
I mean, even if
They've been tempered a little bit, but
it was tempered during COVID a little bit, and
Yeah.
you may see a little less driving with people who can work from home, but they still have a car.
they weren't turning to mass transit.
Yeah, they're in fact, and also mass transit, they still have the 1950s thinking
Right.
that everything goes downtown. We got to link it all. I mean, if you're living out in Rogers, chances are you aren't working downtown.
Right. Some people are.
A few, but not many.
Right.
Some are working from home. Some are working in another suburb. Majority of people do not live in a suburb and work downtown. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't. You don't. How many people do you know work downtown in Minneapolis and St. Paul?
Handful.
A handful, and that's it. So they have no reason to take transit going down there.
Right.
Yet every bus route, bus is a little different because they're more flexible. But
still, I mean, their pattern is to go downtown and then come back out to that suburb. It's not to go suburb to suburb. It's,
right.
You
You have to take several different buses to do that.
have to go downtown and then come back out of downtown on a different line.
Sometimes you do, yeah. So, I mean, the transit keeps getting pushed, yet the thinking doesn't change.
Right.
No, but I mean, again, and I know we've said this on this show before, but again, I want to go back to, this is all about the attack on the car. This is all about CO2. And by the way, roads, everybody benefits from.
Yes.
Even if you don't drive, okay? The groceries get to the grocery store somehow.
And the way the supply chain is designed, that grocery stores get installments from trucks multiple times a day. You've got to have those roadways open and available to keep that supply chain running the way it ought to. And we're seeing what happens when it's not disrupted. That is resulting in empty shelves everywhere.
How about e-commerce? I mean, e-commerce has done nothing but grow.
Yeah.
Amazon and all those things. How do you think their stuff gets to a place?
Right.
It's flown and it's driven.
Yes.
And it ain't changing. There's no way it's changing. So the whole attack on the car, I mean, the only thing I can think of that's a possible end game at this point is to try to change California, the state with rolling blackouts, is going to force electric cars on everyone.
Everybody's going to plug in their electric car at night, and the whole state's going to black out.
And again, where's our media? Where's our media laughing at this?
Nope, doesn't happen.
And by the way, guess what the electricity's powered by? Coal.
Yeah.
So we're going to use coal to get more coal. It's going to take way more electricity to do this.
Yeah.
And we're going to have that because that, of course, doesn't create CO2, right?
Right.
And that's going to get the CO2 out of the car. I mean, again, if this could be done cheaply and easily, the private sector would have found a way to do it. Yeah. Even with the government who has subsidized the electric car for 50 years, and still, people aren't buying it. They don't want it. Now, the problem is, we've alluded to this, is the government and business getting in bed together.
Yes.
That's the real scary thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Public-private partnerships. PPP. We got to come up with a new acronym for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to figure out something that's maybe kind of clean, not too nasty.
Okay.
To get a different acronym for public-private partnerships.
Okay.
Because they are very scary.
Absolutely.
One of the worst things ever created to me.
Absolutely. You're putting government and business in cooperation with each other to really fleece the people.
Right. I mean, and of course, the businesses are getting favors.
Yep.
I've always found it interesting how the same people who complain about corporate welfare have no problems with corporate welfare if it's for a solar panel.
Right.
Then it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't hear Bernie Sanders complaining about that. He's just fine if it's something he likes.
Absolutely he is.
So our Secretary of Energy has personal stock in some green energy.
Yeah.
Which is, first off, it's not a conflict of interest. It's criminal.
Yes.
I'm going to say it's criminal. I mean, it really is. Imagine if an oil company did that. Imagine if you put an oil executive as somebody who was sitting on ExxonMobil's board of directors and made them energy secretary while they still held stock in it.
Right. Well, and that is happening in a different industry, but you don't hear anything about it because it fits in with the government plans.
And the media, which just cheerleads it on.
So you have, in the meat packing industry, you have 4 main meat packing companies. And a lot of them are taking out stock in, doing research in, finding alternatives to meat, where meat's going to become a luxury because the price of it's going to, by design, going to get so high because all you have are these 4 meat processing plants. And so they're going to turn to these plant and chemical-based solutions for meat, or it's going to be bugs.
What?
Those will be our proteins. Yes, you haven't heard that?
No.
Yes.
Bugs?
Yes. Can't wait to have that beetle burger. Is it supposed to crunch? I don't know.
Dude, that's nasty.
Yes. Stink bug salad.
We're all Beetlejuice?
Stink bug salad. Oh, yeah.
Well, who's pushing the alternatives for meats now?
Well, that's part of the Great Reset, and that is, where meat's going to become a luxury because CO2, or not CO2, is CO2? Methane production by cows passing gas, they say, is one of the biggest problems. So because of that...
Oh, I thought AOC was kidding.
No, she wasn't. So, yes, because
She's
of that...
She's so dumb, it's hard to know.
You've got to have fewer cows, which means you can't have meat production what it is. And so ranchers will have fewer cows because fewer cows are being bought and processed.
Okay, but then that opens up competition. If nobody's going to process them, doesn't don't the four companies risk losing their market share?
Well, I would think so.
This is America. Somebody's going to come along and say, hey, the cows have to go somewhere.
There's got to be an enterprising soul somewhere willing to take the meat and get it processed.
But you've seen this with farming. How many absentee landowners are there now where it's the Bill Gateses and all these people? Somebody's telling Bill Gates to buy this stuff.
Right.
At some point, they're going to control a majority of the farmland. It's going to be in a very small handful of people.
Yeah.
And they can dictate what we eat and what we don't.
Absolutely. But this is where, you have people moving from the country into the city, and the farmers are selling their farms either to developers to build these communities, or they're selling them to people like Bill Gates, who then runs some other mega conglomerate farm. They're going. These problems are going around and around and around and around.
Well, I'll tell you what, that may be more scary than more roundabouts. Because to control that, it's bad enough that 4 meat packing plants can control everything like that.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, oligopolies are everywhere in this country.
Well, and for those of you who think that I'm making this stuff up, Bloomberg, that far right think tank, Bloomberg.
Another dickhead.
Coming soon, faux meat burgers made from maggots and mealworms. Doesn't that sound delicious? Diners have increasingly warmed to the idea that burgers made from peas and coconut oil, crab cakes crafted from artichokes, and big food producers are betting they'll soon welcome crickets, beetles, mealworms, and maggots to the mix as well.
By the way, chicken nuggets are already nasty.
Yeah.
That's the part of the chicken that goes over the fence last.
Everyone is looking at the environmental impact of sourcing food, so there's a lot of growth potential, says, and I feel like you... Tuniawat Kasimsuan. Tuniawat Kasimsuan, Group Director of Innovation at Canned Tuna Producer Thai Union Group, PCL, which is diversifying into insect proteins. Chicken and tuna made from vegetables, cellular culture, or insects. We know the demand for it will grow much more than we're seeing today. And it goes on and on and on, and I don't need to belabor that. But yes, in case you think that I'm making this up, I'm not. Yeah, can't wait to get that maggot burger. Oh,
it's gonna be.
It tells you though.
Wonder what's gonna be served at White Castle.
Well, it's not meat now, so I don't know what it's gonna be.
Anyway,
we're headed in, and this stuff is getting passed down from the top, and it will go, down, it seeps down into each level under it, and pretty soon you're going to see places passing. I don't know how much at the city level you're going to have ordinances around this, but you're going to have it'll come into state statute with agricultural.
But think of
production.
Think of the effects on some cities, though, especially rural communities, townships, things like that. They're going to become ghost towns if the farming industry and the fishing industry and all that. That's all they are.
Yeah.
How many? We saw this during COVID. How many resorts and campgrounds and things like that were under threat?
Yeah.
Of extinction because of it.
Yep.
Oh, crazy.
I'll tell you this. I was driving around today, and in the middle of my work day, I saw a couple of turkeys crossing the street. I will find a way to get those turkeys into my car if we ever go that route.
No, what was Ryan Winkler doing out on your couple of turkeys? It's crazy. By the way,
yes.
I just want to say one last thing. I really want to know who's responsible for scheduling the state Republican convention and opening fishing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. the decision making just gets poorer and poorer, but that may be one of the poorest.
Yeah.
We have all the weekends.
You pick that
That's
one.
the weekend you put it on.
Yeah. Make mothers unhappy, make fishers unhappy.
It's just
Tell you
a
what.
double whammy.
Yeah.
Only the Republicans can piss off men and women on the same weekend. I mean, only them.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's just to sum it up here before you get on to your final words. I mean, it's a problem everywhere. The trickle down of things starting in another country and getting pressed down in our cities. Something happens every day, that's something new.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on Green Step,
Yeah.
the Pollution Control Agency, which of course comes from the EPA,
Yep.
the Department of Transportation, the things that they push. We have a secretary there, got the job because he's gay. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
incredible, horrible judgment by the President of the United States.
Absolutely. He has been terrible
I mean,
in
he's
his job.
just an idiot. And I mean, they're just political appointees in the state as well. And there's no meritocracy to being in government. And you really got to pay attention or your community is just going to lose its character. They're going to lose the feel
Yeah.
if this cookie cutter approach gets taken everywhere, which it largely is. You see in home development, you see TIF everywhere. It's almost like the whole state of Minnesota should just be one city.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like. You just can't escape this crap.
Right.
I don't care where you live, you can't escape it. Period.
That's true. It is true. It will find you wherever you are.
Damn, that's depressing, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I'll see if I can make the end of this gooder than the first part. Give us some hope.
I don't think you can. I did get the song right on episode 250, and
That's
that marks maybe like the 30th time that I have. And we've got like over 200 songs on the music side of our podcast.
Yeah.
So that just shows how long we've been doing that.
Yeah, the music from the podcast playlist.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I mean it's been a while for me to do that stuff. So I don't got the best batting average, but you know what? You know what? With equity,
Yeah.
because I'm a white guy, so it's okay that my score is lower.
Right. That would be actually approved by the powers that be.
If I knew too much, that would be racist.
Right.
So the fact that I'm as bad as anybody can be, that makes it okay
Yeah.
then.
Between your music guessing and my history lesson knowledge, we're doing our part for equity.
And how about my political
Yes.
prognostication, which is equally awful? How about my prediction on when the baseball season would start?
Right.
Remember I said
Yeah.
June.
Doing your part for equity, Andrew. That's what I like
Don't
to
ever
hear.
say I'm not a team player.
That's right.
And I'd like to know when this started too, but I'm really not sure. It's been a while now
Yeah.
that we've had the sign-off sermon. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 250th time, this man will open and close this program. He's styling and profiling, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. Once again, Community Solutions presents jet flying, limousine riding, Jason Bradley.
Thank you, Andrew, once again. 250 episodes. 250 episodes of bad news, but also couched with opportunity. Solutions, if you will, to be able to make this a better state, to make our cities better, our counties better, our school districts better. And there is something we can do about it, but we have to understand this stuff does not come from our local government. No, it gets pushes like League of Minnesota Cities. You have the national organizations, National League of Cities, National School Board Association, National Association of Counties, and even there's a national association of water and soil conservation districts. It just doesn't end. You know, you have the people that are getting all of this money from foundations and politicians to come up with these super progressive policies, Marxist policies, and then they shove them on down to the bottom. Well, things are changing in the world, and we have to take stock of where we're at and realize, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to understand what's going on enough to make the changes that are necessary. So what do we do? Like I said, first we got to realize what is the issue. And the issue is that things are changing in this world rapidly. New powers are being set up. A new world order, as Biden called it the other week. But it wasn't just him. They were talking about it over at I think it was in Germany. There was a bunch of world leaders that got together, and this is the way it looks to be shaking out. You have the European countries along with Canada and the United States, and they are forming a new group of allies. Then over on the other side, you have a new axis forming with Russia, with China, with Iran, with they're courting countries like India, who traditionally have been with us, loved President Trump, but they're starting to court China a little bit because, I hate to say it, other countries kind of laugh at our current vice presidential situation. Anyways, so you have this new axis and allies forming, and for those of us that are freedom lovers, we don't want to be part of either of those. We don't want to be part of the Great Reset. We don't want to be part of the nationalistic, if you will, Marxist fascists. So you have two bad groups that are really going against each other. And so what do? Because we're looking at food shortages. We're looking at increased inflation. We're not even near the end of inflation yet. We're looking at a possible coming of a digital dollar that is programmable, which means they can tailor it to you. Fatty better not buy any more fries, or so-and-so has spent enough money this month, we need to shut them down. So these are things they know how to do. I mean, look what happened to the Canadian truckers. They cut off all their funds in Canada. Look what they do in China. They're able to do this. It's just getting the system built and implemented. But that's where we're headed. This isn't Crazy Town. It sounds like Crazy Town. It should be Crazy Town, but there are other places that are already doing this with a social credit system, with whatever. And I know this sounds like terrible news, and it is if it actually happens, but it hasn't happened yet. And that's the beauty of it, is that we still have an opportunity to be able to shut it all down. Because once they start pushing this stuff from the top, we really only have until they get down to the local level. Once it's implemented at the local level, it's going to be so much harder to get rid of it. And this is what they've been trying to do over the long haul here, is by having groups that can't get stuff passed at a national or state level, they send their special interest groups to the local city councils, county boards, whatever, to get things passed. Things like Tobacco 21, which raised the smoking age all the way to from 18 to 21. Well, they weren't able to get this passed at a federal level. It is now, but they were not able to get it done, and they were sending people out to city councils and getting it implemented city by city by city by city. Now, that is what we're looking at. They want to get this into the DNA of every local government so that they are able to force them to do things the way that they are laying out, because they see a new future. They see a future in which we don't own property and we're dependent on them for everything, so that they are able to maintain control for the rest of their lives and into perpetuity. We can't have that. And so we need people that are willing to step up and do something about it. We need people that don't agree with this new order that's being created. We need people that are willing to bristle under the thought of having to be put under all this new regulation and tracking and tracing. And we have just a little time left. And so that's why these next few election cycles are imperative, because freedom really does hang in the balance, and we're getting to a point where it's going to become very imbalanced. I know, kind of a play on words there. We're not talking about, anyways. We have to take what they want to do, and we need to flip it on its head, and we need to find a way to reignite the flames of liberty and get people excited about freedom again, excited about self-determination, excited about the opportunity to do your own thing without the government dictating to you what you need to do, because this is what's good for the environment. This is what's good for everybody else. No, that's not the way we operate here. We are individuals. The good Lord gives us something to do. We go do it. Can or we can't build upon. So what are we going to do? Well, that's where we sit. That's the decision you've got to make. Now, we're helping a whole bunch of people run for some offices this year. We'd like to help you as well. So why don't you give us a call? COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com is our email address, and you can get a hold of us there, and we would love to help you to be able to get into local office, to get into advisory commissions, to get into podcasting, into blogging, into starting your own activist groups. We would love to help you. That email address is COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. We're waiting for you, because we know that you have the ability to do it, and you have the strength to do it, and you have the wherewithal to be able to get it done. But we cannot put it off any longer. So we're waiting. We're here. We love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to